I'll tell you right now, when a woman from my HOA destroyed my trash can, 57 times, with her $60,000 Escalade, I thought she had finally lost her mind. But when I replaced the can with a concrete one and watched her SUV fold in on itself like tin foil, that was only the beginning. Because the real shock came later when I uncovered her $47,000 embezzlement scheme, the GPS tracker she'd hidden on my truck, and the moment police walked into a packed HOA meeting to take her away in front of the entire neighborhood. My name's Marcus, and if you've ever wondered how far a bored HOA Karen will go, buckle up. I moved to Pinewood Gardens right after my divorce, a quiet suburban cookie-cutter Ohio neighborhood where lawns have to be exactly 2.5 inches tall. Mailboxes come in only 3 HOA-approved colors, and the place looks like someone copy-pasted the same house 100 times. It wasn't perfect, but it was clean, affordable, and safe for my kids. Emma, 16, and Tyler, 14, who were already dealing with enough chaos from the divorce. I figured this place would give them some stability. What I didn't figure on was Brenda Whitmore, 52, retired bank manager, no kid's eyes sharper than a hawk with a clipboard, and a pearl-white Cadillac Escalade she treated like a yacht. She'd somehow appointed herself compliance officer, a job that didn't exist in any bylaw, but when you're best friends with the HOA president, titles don't matter. Power does. The first morning it happened, I was still half asleep, helping the kids get ready for school. Coffee brewing, the usual routine, until I heard this crack outside. It sounded like a gunshot made of plastic. I ran out expecting raccoons, maybe a drunk driver. But no. It was Brenda rolling down her window like she just hit a mailbox and was doing a casual check. "Oh my," she said with that fake sweet tone people use when they're secretly thrilled. "These streets are just so narrow. I hope you weren't too attached to that old thing." I stared at the remains of my trash can. It looked like someone had run over a Lego set. Garbage everywhere. My kids were watching from the window, embarrassed. I wanted to yell, but I didn't. I swept it up, chalked it up to a fluke, and went inside. Then she did it 3 more times that week. By the 4th accident, something inside me clicked. And when my elderly neighbor, Mrs. Olivia, told me she'd watched Brenda take the long way around, ignoring the open side of the street, just so she could sideswipe my can, my suspicion became certainty. I tried talking to her. Honest to God, I did. "Hey, Brenda, about the trash can." She cut me off. "Marcus, you're new here. Our community infrastructure wasn't designed for oversized containers blocking traffic flow. Perhaps you should consider placement timing adjustments." Placement timing adjustments. Lady, the garbage truck comes whether I pray about it or not. That night I didn't sleep. I dove into trash ordinances, city codes, property laws, stuff nobody should ever willingly read. And everything pointed to one thing. My trash can was exactly where it was supposed to be. By the end of the month, I'd gone through 4 trash cans. $92 I wasn't planning to spend. My custody evaluator was raising eyebrows about neighborhood stability. And every morning at 6:15 a.m., sharp, that Escalade would rumble past my window like the world's most passive-aggressive alarm clock. Then came the letter, a thick, certified HOA violation accusing me of obstructing traffic patterns, threatening $50 a day fines, and written like it came straight out of a legal drama. Brenda clearly drafted it, and Gerald rubber-stamped it. They expected me to panic, and I did, a little, because this wasn't just garbage. At that point, this was power. Control. Someone trying to shove me into a corner because she thought I didn't belong there. I fought back. I repositioned my Ring camera to catch Brenda in the act. I hired a professional surveyor to confirm my placement met every requirement. Mrs. Olivia signed a witness statement with shaky hands, whispering, "This isn't right. You must fix it." But the more evidence I gathered, the more Brenda escalated. She blasted lies about me on Nextdoor, claiming I was endangering children, creating hazards, being reckless. She submitted 4 fake city complaints within 15 minutes, at 2:47 in the morning. The writing style was identical. The desperation was obvious. The HOA meeting that month felt like walking into a firing squad. Gerald avoided eye contact. Brenda wore a navy blazer like she thought she was testifying in Congress. but when I showed them the ordinance stated word for word that my trash can belonged within 3 feet of the curb, you could hear the fluorescent lights humming. They had nothing, and Brenda felt power slipping out of her hands. That night she cornered me in the parking lot. "You think you're clever," she hissed. "People like you come into decent neighborhoods and think rules don't apply." There it was, the line that hung in the air with the weight of every ugly undertone she'd been dancing around. My phone was recording from my shirt pocket, her whole meltdown saved forever. That should have been the turning point, right? The moment where justice wins and the HOA backs off. Nope! Brenda went nuclear. She dug through the bylaws like she had nothing left to lose. Ticketing me for grass that was a 1/4 inch too long for a mailbox she suddenly claimed was unauthorized navy for tiny tears in window screens you could barely see. Meanwhile, 14 homes had identical issues and got nothing. I remember sitting on the garage floor one night surrounded by violation letters, repair costs, stress. And this wave of exhaustion hit me so hard it almost knocked me over. I asked myself, am I making things worse for my kids? Should I just give in? Pay the fines, move the trash can, do what Brenda wants? For the first time I felt small. Like maybe she was right, maybe I didn't belong. But then Emma asked Dad, "Are we in trouble because of me and Tyler?" And Tyler said, "Are we going to have to move again?" And that did it. No HOA bully gets to scare my kids into feeling unsafe in their own home. That weekend, fate handed me Dale Kowalski, concrete contractor, Home Depot legend, and accidental genius. When I told him what was happening, he smiled like he'd been waiting his whole life for this moment. "There's no rule about what material a trash can has to be," he said. "Plastic, metal, concrete, as long as it holds garbage." A light bulb exploded in my head. 3 bags of concrete steel rebar and 1 regular trash can shell later. I had built a monument, a fortress, a silent, unbreakable middle finger to Brenda's entire personality. Monday morning I placed it in the usual spot, right on the curb, right where she expected it. At 6:15 a.m. the Escalade appeared. She revved as always, lined up her strike, and hit the gas. The sound was glorious. A dull, solid thunk, followed by the screech of her SUV crunching into something that refused to die. Her running board bent. Metal groaned. The concrete can didn't move an inch. I watched from my kitchen window, sipping coffee like it was the Super Bowl. Brenda sat in her SUV, bewildered. Then she backed up and tried again, and again. Every attempt added new dents and scratches. My trash can. Not even a scuff. That should have humbled her. It didn't. Instead, she turned into a full-blown stalker. She snuck into my driveway at midnight with a flashlight, trying to weigh the trash can with a bathroom scale. She cornered the maintenance guy at the hardware store, interrogating him about concrete purchases. She dug through my Facebook posts looking for proof. She also called the city again, claiming I'd installed an illegal concrete structure. The inspector showed up, took one look, and rolled his eyes harder than any man I've ever seen. "It's a trash can, not a bunker," he said. "You're fine." But then Brenda crossed the line. She tried to interfere with my custody case by telling a school parent that I was a dangerous influence. And the worst thing, my son found a blinking black device under my truck. A GPS tracker. I brought it straight to the police. "Mr. Holloway, Officer Martinez said this is criminal stalking. We're opening a case." Meanwhile, Brenda filed a fraudulent insurance claim blaming road hazards for all the damage she caused to herself. The investigator almost laughed when he saw my camera footage. Everything was unraveling for her, but I didn't know how. Big the unraveling really was, until Patricia, the only reasonable HOA board member, pulled me aside. "Marcus, you need to know something," she whispered. "Brenda's been pushing contracts through for months, repairs, landscaping, maintenance, all routed to a company called Whitmore Construction." Whitmore, as in Brenda's last name. I dug deeper. Public records, business licenses, HOA meeting minutes. There it was, 7 HOA contracts, $23,400, all approved by Brenda, all benefiting her family's company, all illegal. But the total discrepancies, $47,000. Suddenly everything made sense: the obsession, the harassment, the fake letters, the traffic hazards, the destruction. I wasn't just a nuisance to her. I was a threat. So I built a war room in my garage, Charts, timelines, photos, documents, red string like a crime show. I gathered allies: Mrs. Olivia, Patricia, Jim, the maintenance guy Dale, the concrete wizard. We went door to door. 89 signatures, 34 audit demands, 17 neighbors ready to testify. We prepared evidence packets for the media, the police, the city, the HOA. Brenda must have sensed it because she went ballistic spray painting my trash can, filing complaints with the gas company, hiring private security to watch my house. She even submitted a fake restraining order with edited audio clips and photos, so obviously doctored that the judge dismissed it on the spot. Finally, the night arrived. The HOA board meeting. 118 homeowners packed the community center, people spilling into the hallway, news cameras set up like it was a political takedown. I brought the concrete trash can inside as Exhibit A. When I stood up to speak, the room went silent. I laid everything out: every collision, every violation, every fake complaint, every piece of footage, every document tracing money from HOA dues straight into Whitmore Construction's accounts. Then I played the 12-minute video compilation of Brenda ramming my trash can. The crowd gasped, laughed, whispered. When I turned to Brenda and said, "You destroyed your own $60,000 SUV 57 times trying to harass me. But the real damage is the $47,000 you stole from this community," the room erupted. Brenda snapped. She shot up screaming, pointing, ranting about outsiders' standards protecting property values. She grabbed my presentation boards and tried ripping them. Jim had to step in. Her voice cracked, mascara-smeared hands shaking. And then the doors opened. Officer Martinez walked in holding a folder. "Sorry to interrupt," he said, "but I have a warrant to serve regarding insurance fraud and stalking charges." Brenda's face drained of color. Her lawyer whispered frantically. Gerald looked ready to faint. Patricia stood and said, "Clear as day, I move to suspend Brenda Whitmore from the board immediately pending criminal investigation." The vote 4-0. Brenda didn't get one. And just like that, it was over. Her power, her intimidation, her empire of petty cruelty, gone. If there's one thing I learned through all this, it's simple. Bullies crumble fast when you stop being afraid and start keeping receipts.